Hello everyone, I'm Ron Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. Thank you so much for watching 284 Media and thank you for your time. A happy Wednesday's wish to each and every one of you. On January 21st, women are encouraged to bring their men and have a convo in the tropic. Let's talk hysterectomy. This WIN BVI, also of course the acronym for Women in Need initiative, is the brainchild of Mrs. British Virgin Islands Globe 2022, Dr. Arliene T. Penn. Now it takes place from 7 to 9 p.m. at Butu Mountain Estate and tickets are only $40. Of course, transportation will be provided from Koma Trading parking lot to the estate once registered. Now, Dr. Penn, a cervical cancer survivor, has continued to share her personal testimony, and we return after a quick commercial break to not only hear more about her story, but to encourage you to come out to this amazing event. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What do you really? Hey, this ain't like you know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out of trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I huff. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
And welcome back, everyone. As promised, I am joined by the lovely Dr. Arliene T. Penn, Mrs. Globe, British Virgin Islands 2022. Welcome back to the studios. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Well, it's good to be here, and I just want to thank you for this opportunity because sharing, I think, is important because the more you share, the more you can help other persons even with their lives, just like how I've been helped in my own life.
You are most welcome. Now, in the spirit of sharing, you have been on a campaign to encourage women, particularly, to know, fix, and live. Mm-hmm. Why has this been so personal for you?
Know, fix, live, win. It's personal because I am a cervical cancer survivor. And for years, I used to walk around in this community. And I was so comfortable telling people that, hey, I'm a cancer survivor. But I was ashamed to tell people that I was a cervical cancer survivor because you see, and as I've been saying it quite often, one of the most difficult conversations for a woman to have is that of her reproductive system. Because your reproductive system is seen as the prize and the pride of a woman. So you don't want to talk about that part of your body.
Especially when the ability to has been taken away.
Yes. So I have decided that, hey, when you read statistics from the World Health Organization, that some 600,000 women across the globe were diagnosed with cervical cancer. And then some, 300,000 women died as a result of cervical cancer, and I am alive. And I am alive, and God helped me, God saved me. I think it's wrong for me to just sit down and just not say anything, especially if I know that early detection saves lives, saved my life. So it can save a number of women, because very often, sometimes we only find out at the last minute. And sometimes we're at stage 3, stage 4. But if you are actively checking, getting those pap smears done, your routine pap smears, it can detect the cervical cancer from a very early stage so that you can protect yourself and do all the necessary steps that you need,
of course,
so that you can become well, so that you can win in the end. So that's why I'm saying, if you know now, you can fix it early so that you can live life beautifully, fearfully, and wonderfully. Because that's what the Bible says. That's what God says. And then we can all win together. So win, women in need, but for me, win is also celebrating life. So just earlier, you would have said in the opening that there is a convo in the tropics.
Indeed.
That's what Celebrating Life is about. It's a Celebrating Life series campaign that I've actually started under the WIN BVI organization brand.
Wonderful. Now, one of the beautiful things about this conversation is that the men are encouraged to be involved. I want to talk about that level of importance, but before we get to how pivotal it is for men to be a part of the conversation and support their women, tell us exactly what is a hysterectomy?
Well, the hysterectomy is the removal of your uterus, your womb.
Okay.
Okay? It means, therefore, that two things happen. One, you would no longer be able to have children. And two, you would no longer see your menstrual cycle, actually your menstrual.
Okay.
So you wouldn't see your period, right? So those are the two things that really happen to you. But they don't have to be you. You see what I'm saying? You still can live life.
That procedure does not have to define who you are.
No, because I thought that it would have defined who I was, but it doesn't define who I am. I define who I am, and that's the most important thing. I remembered when I was hemi-harming. That's what we call it, the local term, hemi-harming, in terms of whether or not if I should do a hysterectomy. But it was to save my life, you see? And I had to go through some counseling before. I went to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and they took me through counseling before because my mindset was, this is what made me who I was, woman. And they took me through a mental mind shift,
okay,
so that I could see things in a different way. And that's one of the conversations that we'll be having at the events. I don't want to talk all, but I just want to say that I thought that it was only me. But ever since I opened my mouth and I said, hey, I'm a cervical cancer survivor through bravery, women have been calling. I have to do this. What should I expect? I'm afraid, I'm frightened. But you know, women, you don't really do, I would say this, you don't really only do hysterectomies as a result of cervical cancer. Can be uterine fibroids.
Okay.
We have a number of women who have had to do hysterectomies as a result. And I didn't even know some of this until when they call me and say, hey, you know that I had to, you know that I've done, you know, and for years. So before it was a taboo.
In your opinion, is it still very much a taboo?
It is still because I think that, you know, we're still afraid to talk about it. I grew up at a time where when you hear things such as barren, because those are negative words, I would say negative words. You grow up, you hear that a woman can't have children, and because she can't have children, you feel as though she's less of a person. Sometimes we used to treat her differently. She's in a marriage and she doesn't have children, and we start to talk about her, about, you know, look at her, she can't even. And because of that, those things cause depression.
Of course.
Those things affect women. They affect families, right? But there are other options.
I want to continue there about the conversation as a community and the whole taboo behind it. But of course, what can we do as a society to encourage and support women who are affected by this?
Speak out. And that's exactly what I'm doing. It's okay. It's okay. There are other options, right? We have children whose parents, one, sometimes may no longer be with them. There's the adoption process. There are a number of ways. There are godparents. There's so many different things that we take for granted that are there available to us. Now, there are different types of hysterectomies, right? There's a partial, there's the radical, there's the total hysterectomy. So there are different types of hysterectomies, and we'll be talking about those as well. I had to do the radical hysterectomy. It meant that my ovaries, because I was so young, my ovaries, the doctors left my ovaries in. However, you know, they would have made sure that they removed the uterus and the lymph nodes around there to make sure that none of the lymph nodes, the cancer had spread to the lymph nodes. So there is a process that would have to happen.
Well, speaking of the process, of course, you're going to be getting into that at the convo.
Yes, I will be.
In the topic, Let's Talk Hysterectomy.
Yes.
I'm excited because there are a number of speakers, and one of the beautiful things that I see about these speakers, which I'm going to ask you to share with us, is there are various physicians, but these are at least two of them are essentially persons that I know, based on your public presentation, who have been with you along the journey. So tell us about the speakers and how you decided to select them.
Okay, so I'm going to look down here,
That's
right?
fine.
So one of the first topics, what I did was I looked at what I would ask, the questions that I asked when I was thrown
Yes.
into that den. And then I listened to some of the women when they called, even men called,
Okay.
to ask me about what does this mean. And that's really why I came forward to say, I think we need to have a convo in the tropics about this, because it is something that's critically important, not just to women, but also to men. So one of the things that I asked myself, so you have to do a hysterectomy, say what? Say what? So the person I've selected to have that conversation with me would be that of Dr. Kedrick Pickren, right? He is a physician and an OBGYN. And as a matter of fact, when he was a fifth doctor I would have spoken with when I tried to figure out what my next steps were going to be. And he said, listen, you don't have a choice. You either have to stop running from it or you shall die. So you have to figure out what you want to do. And if you don't make the decision for you, at least make it for your boys. Those were his exact words. And I remember asking myself, because I didn't know him, and I remember asking myself, well, what kind of doctor to send me to?
A very honest one.
But he was very, very upfront, and and I went for my referral, went for the transfer, and I ended up at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. So I believe that Dr. Pickren would be ideal because considering he was the one who really gave me what were a number of the different options that I may or would have had to go through, and what to expect after. So I felt that he would be indeed a good doctor, and considering that also he deliver babies.
Gotcha.
And he would be able to give women insight as well into fibroids, what it means, and what you can do to help prevent some things.
All right.
So that's why I selected.
And who else do we have?
And then for the second conversation would be, so you have a hysterectomy. What are you doing? What are you doing? Because sometimes you want to know, well, how are you living life after the hysterectomy? There's a process that you have to go through, because sometimes you have to spend some time in the hospital, and thereafter, you have to sort of, I don't want to say learn to walk again, but you have to learn to stand again. Right? Because there's this cut, this incision that you have, that it would have you sort of bent over for just a bit until you can stand straight again. And your diet is critically important, and that's why I've invited Miss Philippa Barry to have a discussion with us, because she's a dietitian and also a nutritionist, right? She's actually a registered dietitian. And who better to talk to us about what are some of the foods that we can eat?
Yes.
What are some of the dangers that we can look out for? Because I remember when I was leaving Dana-Farber, I asked my doctor, well, what do I eat? She said, you can eat anything you want, but you have to do things in moderation.
Very important.
So instead of me eating a whole, I love ice cream, pistachio ice cream. So instead of eating the whole bucket, you just eat, because it's that your palate just wants to taste it.
But that word is very important to us all. Moderation.
Everything you do, just do it in moderation. So she would be one of the persons who would be speaking. I also have a retired teacher and educator, Miss Valencia Brathwaite. She's also a naturalist, right? And she believes in the herbs and so forth. And I believe that to have that balance with the dietitian, the nutritionist, and the naturalist speaking, it would be very good. And she's from Anegada, and she's my former teacher when I used to go to the Alexandrina Maduro Primary School. So I sort of looked at persons who would have had an impact in my life, because sometimes we sit and we think that we've done things on our own, but no, I'm standing on some very strong shoulders.
And speaking of standing on some really strong shoulders, you have a gentleman that's going to be joining you, who's been standing by you for quite a number of years now. Tell us about this particular union and speaker.
Okay. Well, this particular speaker is my husband, Mr. William Penn. And he has been I would say, my biggest cheerleader.
Amazing.
Before I married my husband, one of the conversations we had was, I can't have children. And he was like, all right, well, I don't want any anyway.
Okay.
You know, I don't want any more children because I already have children. So we have this blended family. And I can say this, when I got into the marriage, because I loved my husband, you know, I love my husband so much, I was changing my mind that, you know, I want to have a child. Because you see, in the back of my mind, I have my ovaries. So I was saying I could do a surrogate because I have a match for surrogacy. And my husband said to me, so I'm just giving a little snippet
Of the conversation,
yeah,
yes.
of a conversation we will be having. And he said to me, so we're going to do a test to see what's going to happen. So we did a test where we took care of one of the grandbabies. Very young grandbaby, very, very young. And I remember when that baby cried.
Brought back some memories to you,
I
huh?
looked at him, he looked at me, and no one could decide who is going to take care of this baby. And I said, not me. And he said, well, not me.
That is
but
a
obviously
funny
we ended
story.
up taking care
Of course, but it puts stuff
of the
into
baby.
perspective.
Yes.
Yes.
So we had the conversation afterwards when the mother came, and you know, my husband and I had the conversation. He said, so tell me now, what do you think?
Yes.
And I said to him, not me.
Okay.
Not me, because at that time my sons were already grown, and I just wanted to live life. Just
Well,
wanted to live
a very
life.
honest piece of the nugget, of course, that we're going to experience on the Convo in the Tropic. But before we hear a little bit more about the event, Dr. Penn, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be
Okay.
right back.
Okay.
Viewers, 1 second.
Hun, it's asking for your password.
Huh?
You were logged out. I need the password.
BR,
What's the rest?
BRANDI, the number 4, EVER?
Who's Brandy?
We're like the password that isn't your ex-girlfriend's name. CG Insurance. Good like that.
I should have changed it.
You should have.
You're right.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Alright, do enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes, son.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut fun topic.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you? You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Introducing a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It doesn't always involve suits and bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons. I'm taking you outside in the field to share the journey of some of the BVI's the best and brightest men. From East End to West End, Virgin Gorda to Joss Van Dyke, not forgetting Anigada. Our Virgin Islands gentlemen are doing the damn thing. We are the movers and shakers of this generation. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman. Season 4 by yours truly, Ron Grant. Raising a generation of greatness. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on 284 Media.
And welcome back, everyone. As if you're just joining us, I'm talking with the lovely Dr. Arliene T. Penn, who is the reigning Mrs. British Virgin Islands Globe 2022. Quite an impactful conversation. Dr. Penn, before we left, we were just mentioning the speakers.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about the event, how persons can register, how much are tickets, how can they get in contact with you guys to be a part of this phenomenal event?
Okay, so the tickets are $40, right? Because you have to register, because obviously we have to get you from one location to the next. It's going to be at the Butu Mountain Estate, but we want persons to be at the Coma Trading parking lot by 6:45.
To be shuttled, okay.
So that you can be shuttled up there. For persons who want ticket, they can call 440-4122. That's the WIN BVI organization, or they can give me a call. They can send me a Facebook, and then I'll be willing to get that ticket to them. And I just want to say that it's not an event for women only. It's for women and men. It's not just for people who have had a hysterectomy. It's for any woman.
Okay.
It's for any man to come. Because today you might be good, but then tomorrow you might have a life-changing decision that you'll have to make. So the more educated you are about your body, especially as a female, the more educated the man is about the woman's body. I think it's important so that you know what necessary steps you will need to take when and if my story becomes your story.
Understood. Now, why I want to talk about the importance of having the man not only in the room to have these conversations, but also for persons who may have to experience these life-altering experiences. How important is it, based on your experience, to have had a man fully support and embrace you with this very life-altering change?
So I know what it's like to have my husband by my side. Because sometimes it could be tough, I can say I do get the symptoms of, I know when my menstrual cycle is happening. I do know, because again, I still have my ovaries, right? There are some women who have to do the total hysterectomy, and it means that they may go into early menopause.
Okay.
The support of the male is so critically important, because truth be told, that part of our body, we all do enjoy, right? So if this part of my body, which is my vagina, my womb, my body, it's important to me, it should be important for you as well, because all of it has to do with our reproductive health. So the more the man knows about your body, I think the more the respect go both ways, because what I've gotten in my marriage has been total respect. I've never been treated less than, felt inferior, because I never had. You see what I'm saying?
Understood.
So it has always been this, I love you just the way you are. In other words, you call that abundant love.
Yes.
Abundant love. It means, therefore, that I lack nothing. Sometimes it's our mind what makes us think that we lack.
Or we're less of.
We're less, yes, we're less of. So I just want to say that, the theme for my church, the King Garden Bay Baptist Church, is abundance. Abundance means that don't worry about your imperfections, because in God, you are perfect just the way you are. So I want people to understand that in a relationship, we have to learn to accept faults, because the faults are not necessarily faults, because where I'm weak and you are strong, then come on, pull me up.
Yeah, let's help each other.
Come on, that's what it's supposed to be. And I think sometimes we are too hard on ourselves and too hard on each other. We focus on what we don't have, but we need to focus on what we do have.
I could not agree with you more.
And that is life.
Absolutely. Now, viewers,
wonderfully.
As mentioned, this event is open to both women and men. It's the combo in the tropics, and a very pivotal conversation at the Butu Mountain Estate, and this is going to be from 7 to 9 p.m. on January 21st. You want to make sure that you're sitting at this table. You want to make sure that you're having these conversations. Of course, one of the points that I do have to make sure that I mention is all the proceeds from this phenomenal event will be going towards the WIN BVI Foundation, the acronym Women in Need, of course. It's also going to be evening of celebrating life, refreshments, music, really an opportunity for persons to come and fellowship, and fellowship, but have the tough conversations, we usually steer away from in our community. And I don't think that it has been to the betterment of us. So it's about time that we sit down and have these tough conversations.
You know, I must say this. There are persons who have said to me, why would you talk about, why would you say those, why would you even talk about those things?
Why would you not?
But why would I not? Because I think that if I firmly and truly believe that God has saved me, I have a responsibility to share that information. The problem is we do not share information. So because we don't share information about these things, other women suffer in silence. Because it's only when I open my mouth, you heard women say, you know, I've had some abnormal cells because my pap smear came back, it's abnormal. What do I do? There are women who have died. Men came to me and said, you know, my mother died as a result of cervical cancer or ovarian cancer, and she never said anything or never did anything, you know. So I'm happy that you're actually saying something, because then I can then encourage my sister and I can encourage my brother to help my sister. So these are some of the conversations that I think if you don't have the conversations, you can't help.
I totally agree, and you have definitely taken that responsibility to heart, championing the cause throughout your reign as Mrs. Globe British Virgin Islands 2022. I know there's a lot coming up for you, and we're going to have another conversation at another time, but we do continue to wish you the very best here at 284 Media as you continue to champion this cause, of course, and making the very best of the platform which you have been given. So again, encouraging everyone to come out and support this amazing event. And Mrs. Penn, we wish you the very best. Continue to do what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I just want to remind everyone to know, fix, live, and then you can win.
Beautiful. Everyone, that's all the time we have. I want to thank you so much for tuning into this conversation. Of course, be sure to stick to 284 Media for a number of various future interviews. For Ron Grant, I'm 284 Media. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Freeze. Choose your mix, choose your flavor.
That's out. That's 6. That's out.
With worldwide medical coverage and affordable premiums, we're like a home match that isn't played at your actual home. CG Insurance. Good like that.
My turn. Oh, come on, guys.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this ain't like you know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out of trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know, I huff. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.